You guys ever heard of scary stories? Today we are entering spooky month. Today, guys. Today we are going to be reacting to scariest true stories. Yes, these are true that are shown in the subreddit r/real scary stories. So we are going to be reading real scary stories that happened to real people during real times and events that have happened. Stick around to the whole video and see which one you thought was the scariest. Hopefully you won't get spooked. Alright, so the first one is called Black Hair. Oh, I already don't like this already. I'd lived in the same house for over 12 years before I moved out. It was an innocent vintage house that laid atop a hill. We had a maid that usually cleaned our house once a month. She was nice and we were close with her. We were quite surprised when she said she was quitting. We kept asking her why, but she wouldn't tell us, saying that she wasn't comfortable with telling us. We were beyond confused. After lots of begging, she finally told us what made her want to quit. She said that while she was cleaning the house, she saw a girl in a white dress with long black hair that covered her face. We all had dirty blonde hair. We weren't home at the time she was cleaning at the house. We were super freaked. That night, when I was in bed, it suddenly got really cold. I hugged the nearest pillow next to me and prayed that it would keep me warm. That morning, I woke up and found a long black lock of hair in my bed. Oh god. The pillow I was hugging was on the opposite side of the room. My siblings pranked me a lot, so I automatically assumed they were messing with me. So I ran downstairs into the rooms and told them that it wasn't funny. They denied it, but I didn't believe them. That was until they told me they weren't home last night and just got back this morning. They were both at a sleepover with their friends. I knew my parents wouldn't do this, so I immediately was freaked out. Ugh. Since that moment, everyone refused to sleep over, claiming they would see a girl of the exact description of her maid staring at them. I would keep waking up with strands of hair in my bed. It got so bad to the point where I started sleeping in my parents' room. We moved out now, but I soon found out that way back a serial killer lived in our house that buried his victims under his house, and that he preferred little girls. This list freaks me out to this day. Jesus Christ. Already for the first story already is already so dramatic. Because a serial killer has been living there, of just living in the house where you live in. That would be so crazy. Lock your houses more often, guys, because you don't... Nah, man, I don't want that happening. If I were someone to be living inside my house, there's been stories recently that people have been living in people's houses without even them knowing. Utter terrifying to ever think about. No, to be honest, I would never want that to happen to me. And that the fact that she kept having hair on her bed is, oh my god, it makes it even worse that she's wanting to live there. Just stay in a very, don't stay in like abandoned houses or anything like that. Like, Jesus Christ. Alright, the next story is called Amnesia. Not the video game. Growing up, I saw things. My mom pushed it off as it was just imaginary friends like all parents do. But after a while, she started realizing it wasn't that. I had turned 9 and I had an agonizing fear of things following me and seeing things everywhere. My mother started taking me to church, but sadly that didn't help. After a while, I stopped talking to her about it. I just didn't want to bother her about it. I grew in agony as these things kept bugging me. Fast forward 4 years later, when one day a new one appeared, a lady with long black hair dressed in white, skinny as all get out. I never saw her real face since it was always covered by her hair, but she seemed like one of the nicer hallucinations. Oh, so this is gonna be a story about schizophrenia and people having like freaking, oh god, that's never a good sign. The lady just sort of followed me in the waking and dream worlds. In my dreams, I forget what we do, but I knew she was there. After a while, I started calling her Amnesia. Good name. That was just how I referred to her. I never really thought anything about it until one day in May of 2016. I was 15 then. Here we go. We're getting into the lore. The plot is going to thicken eventually, guys. I had come back home from a band concert, and everyone in my family was outside along with the other people who were staying with us. Smoke was coming out of the house, and all the lights were off. I ran out of the car and asked what was happening. They explained that our 2 dogs were barking at something in the hallway. Heaven. A girl staying with us at the time had went to go see what was happening. In our hallway stood an 8-foot tall, shadowy male figure. She had screamed and got everyone. Her stepdad started smudging and blessing the house. This is slowly turning into The Exorcist. While I was outside, I started talking to one of Heaven's sisters about that figure. I explained that I had a hallucination that fit the description. I called him Dream Taker. After I said that Heaven's sister had me tell my mom everything about my dreams, my hallucinations, everything. When I told her about amnesia, all the color in her face went cold. She told me that after I was born, she had taken me home to her apartment at the time. One day she had put me in my crib and then went go down late for a bit. Just to be clear, my mother's bedroom was just across the way from mine. She could see my crib from her bed. She had fallen asleep for a while when she was suddenly awoken to what sounded like someone's walking in the hallway towards her room. Her blood ran cold. All she could do was look in horror. There in the hallway was a pale, skinny lady. She had charcoal black hair that was a tangled drape on her face. She slumped over while walking on her white tattered dress, dragged behind her. She started walking into my room, and my mother immediately started to get up, but she couldn't. If an invisible force was binding her to the bed. The lady stopped and turned to look at my mother. Okay. Her hair swept from her face to reveal a face my mother could only describe as terrifying. She had no eyes. There were black voids that seemed to pierce through my mother's eyes. Her jaw seemed broken and hung open, and a reddish-black ooze dripped from it. The lady let out a high-pitched screech, and I started to cry in my crib. The lady turned back around to my crib. She struggled as she listened to my screaming. Then I stopped. Everything was silent. Her thoughts ran through her mind. She couldn't think right. After all, she could finally get up. She ran into my room to check on me. I was sound asleep like nothing has happened. She grabbed a bat and searched the apartment to find nothing. Everything was the same as it was. She grabbed our phone and called her neighbor. "How did you hear my baby cry? She was crying a little bit ago." What are you talking about? Your baby wasn't crying. Is everything okay?" Oh, God. I didn't know what to think. Was this lady a blessing or a curse? My mother also told me my grandma dwelling in black magic. It could be a byproduct of something gone wrong. But who knows, honestly? I don't know how I feel about it. Honestly. Oh my. So, if I'm reading this correctly, this woman with the disembodied face is somehow tethered to the family? Is that what I'm reading here? This woman has a history. No. I've seen Hereditary, and I don't want to deal with that type of stuff. That's not, no. That is a big no. And also, I'm not a believer of ghosts or anything like that. I'm not really a believer of, like, ghost stuff, because it's kind of too much to think about, I feel like. To think about the unknown and what's going on in the world with spirits and ghosts like that. I don't know, man. Alright. Next story, because I guess I believe in demons now. Oh God, this is gonna be a story about demons. Here we go. My sister and I share our room, and I like to sleep in darkness. While she doesn't, we settle to open a little crack from the door so she can at least see what's around her. So in about minutes, I felt something standing next to my bed right by my head, and it was hot. I felt the heat, and I knew how tall it was. And it just stood there. I was really scared. I could even turn my head, and all this time, I was telling myself, that is just my imagination. And then my sister called me and said, "I feel like something's standing next to my bed." I just froze, then I acted like it was alright. I told her, "It must have been your magic." I feel like I didn't want to know. Then I know that they are there. Who? Wait, what? Wait, what? Okay, I felt like that I didn't want it to know that I know that they are there. Okay, so it was just an imagination? What? This doesn't make sense because there wasn't really a scary ending. Well, like, was there actually someone there? Was there someone not? That was. This didn't really have a good resolution to it. I mean, it was scary because sleeping in the dark is actually pretty scary enough already, just to be sleeping in already. I'm able to sleep in the dark for me, but I don't know what this has to do with demons or something like that. This is I feel like your body can react differently when you're about to fall asleep or something, you know what I mean? So I feel like this wasn't as creepy as the other stories I feel like that I've been read so far. Also, guys, if you're liking this video so far, make sure you like and subscribe, you know, if you want to see more content like this, you know, in the near future, if you want to see it. This is called Messed Me Up for Years. Oh God, this is someone that has PTSD from this. Years ago, maybe 2006, 2007-ish. I took my girlfriend, now wife, oh, nice, to the movies. We were just out of high school. We decided to see the exorcism of Emily Rose against her mother's advice. We made it through half of the movie. She wasn't enjoying it at all, and neither was I. We head out early, and since we had some time left, we decided to head to a park next to her house and just hang out for a bit before I had to drop her off. We park my truck. I take the keys out of the ignition and sit them on my lap. A few seconds after this, the radio comes on, and the LCD display is just showing weird symbols, and there's a very deep voice coming from the speakers. It was very loud and clear, but the words it was saying weren't English. Neither of us understood what it was saying. We proceeded to jump out the truck, kind of freaking out. After the scary movie, we were uneasy, and this was just over the top. When we hopped out, the radio shut off, and the voice stopped. After a few minutes, we decided we should head to her house now. She lived less than a block, so we speed over there. Once there, I had this strange feeling like someone was right behind me and or watching me. I was real scared at this point. It was just so odd. I called my mom, told her that I couldn't explain now, but I wouldn't be home tonight, and I would tell her more in the morning. In a way, I was driving that truck back home alone in the dark. Yes. If you have that feeling that someone's haunting you, you should stay with whoever you are right now. We sat for a while with her family, and I asked her mom if I could stay the night there, and her dad said I could share a room with her brother. Fast forward to when we were going to sleep. Her brother gave me the bed and slept on the floor, facing away from me and towards the door. After bed, sitting there, propping on my elbow, facing the door, all of a sudden it got very cold and I couldn't move or talk. Into the doorway walks a silhouetted figure that was black like smoke, with solid white eyes, and appeared to have dreadlocks and a high ponytail. It stood in the doorway for what it seemed like forever, staring straight in my eyes, and then turned and walked into the bathroom. As soon as it leaves the door, I can move again. It's like he was kind of possessed in a way. So I have to know now if it's in the bathroom at this point. I nervously get up and get out of the bed. Her brother startles me by asking, "What are you doing?" And I said I had to go to the bathroom. Nothing was there. Since in that movie, the weird stuff always happens at 3:30 a.m. Almost every night, I woke up at 3:30 with the same someone watching me feeling. I chalked it up to sleep paralysis and a weird tech glitch, and the rest of on me being paranoid and anxious about it. I've told all my friends over the years, and about 2 years ago, decided to tell my brother-in-law. He was dumbfounded when I told him, and said he remembers that night very clearly because he was frozen and saw the same thing too. So what the heck? Anyone has something? What the heck? Oh my god! So his brother had the same experience as well. Oh my god! No. That is not a coincidence. That feels okay. That one actually gave me chills, dude. That one actually gave me chills. Why? If this two people are seeing the same time, it is not a coincidence. I'm telling you, same thing, same. No. Oh my god. I did not like that one. Freaking. Let's just go to the next one, dude. I can't think about that, dude. They both had like the same thing too, so that's just nah, bro, nah. All right. This one is called My Haunted Hotel Experience. I was pretty young, but still believed spiritual things like ghosts. So when this happened, I was baffled. I was traveling with some family, and we found a hotel we could stay at for a while. It was not a normal looking hotel. It looked more as if it's an old-time hotel. See, that's where you made your first mistake. Don't stay at abandoned places. I'm gonna keep saying it. Don't stay at abandoned places that don't look all homey one like. We all had thoughts about this look, but we didn't think too far ahead. The first couple of days were okay, but then I would tend to hear a little girl humming, and all this took place mostly in the bathroom. After maybe a week, I tried to avoid going to the bathroom as much as possible. When I overheard my sister talking to my mom about feeling like we weren't the only ones in this room, I felt as if I had a knot in my stomach, and although I slept in the middle, I still felt like it wasn't my sister or my mother sleeping next to me. I also got weird feels when we went to the laundry room. I feel like I can confirm the spirit of some sort was a girl because one, my sister and my mom said they also thought it was a little girl. Two is because the eerie feeling that was this spirit's humming sounded like a girl. We never complained though for some reason, but I guess it doesn't really matter anymore. I can still picture what I thought she would look like humming. As a kid, she had an Alice look, but Alice looked as she took a Sharpie to the end of her hair. The dress also looked less cupped and more wet looking. as if she took a shower with her clothes on. Her hair looked like a girl from the Rings, with her long hair covering her her skin. It was milky white, and I kind of saw an outline of her ribs. Ew. That's only when I remembered there could be a lot more, but that's all I could remember. No. That is horrible. That is horrible. Oh, dude. That is not a pleasant thing to hear when you're staying at a hotel like that. If you're going to stay at a hotel, please don't stay at a whole-time hotel, because you don't know what kind of freaking things could be living there. You never know, dude. That's why you gotta consider where you live sometimes, because there's some people that have like dark history and stuff like that. You gotta consider that when you're moving, because you don't want to be thinking about that, man. It's called True Pokemon Go Scary Story. So, clicked out of it. So this story takes place in late 2016. The year Pokemon Go came out, and the time the game has huge hype around it. Yeah, I liked Pokemon Go when I was a little kid. So me being a teenager who wanted to play was everything else was playing. I got the game myself, and I enjoyed it. One of my friends also played the game, and we had the idea of having to sleep over at my house and have our own Pokemon adventure together. We both thought it was going to be a lot of fun. So it looks, see, now it's kind of wholesome so far, and I'm just gonna wait until the eerie part. So we got it organized, and my friend, who I will call Dan, stayed over at my house for the day. We messed around, ate snacks, played video games on my PS4, and etc. It was at 10 p.m. when Dan suggested we go out and play. Oh no, why at 10 p.m.? No. Oh, this is already bad already. I brought it up that it was too late, but he persisted. So I asked my mom if it was fine. She said it was. Sure, I had my concerns and all, but I honestly thought nothing bad would happen. This was due to the fact that I live in a small and quiet town. No one would be out this late, so it wasn't like we were gonna get mugged in an alley. So we grabbed our phones and headed off down the main street of our town. We walked past the cemetery, oh god, then past the football oval. But as we passed the football oval, we saw a black Ford Territory parked by it. No lights were on, so we didn't think anyone was inside of it. So we walked past it. We got onto the footpath past the oval when we noticed the Ford pull up next to us on the footpath. We found it strange but kept walking anyway. We were passing the post office when we saw the same Ford pull into the car park in front of the post office. They gave us the suspicion this random car was following us, so we kept walking but at a faster pace. We walked past the post office and were now walking past our town park. As we were walking by the park, Dan told me to hide behind bushes which surrounded the park entrance. As we crouched down behind the bushes, we saw the Ford pull on at the park entrance, confirming 100% that this Ford was following us. After what felt like an eternity for me, the Ford drove off and we got out of the park instead of running back to my house. As we started running back to my house, I looked behind me to make sure the Ford was gone, and what I saw horrified me. Oh, here we go. Here we go, people. Oh my god. The car turned left at the end of the street. I originally thought that was maybe that he was just leaving the town, but then I realized this park has two main entrances. The way he turned, he was driving to the second entrance, meaning he believed we ran to the other side of the park and was trying to cut us off the way. There was no argument left. The guy wasn't following us for us to safety purposes. He was chasing us. I am not an athletic person, unlike my friend Dan, but in this instant, I was keeping up with him from the sheer fear of what will happen if this driver caught us or what his intentions were with us. We ran past the post office, past the football oval, and were halfway past the cemetery when we saw the headlights of the Ford behind us, and I was terrified. There was nowhere to hide. The footpath with a giant fence separating the footpath and the cemetery. There was nothing to hide behind. Luckily enough, Dan came up with an idea. He pointed out we were both wearing dark hoodies. He said to put the hood over our heads, crouch down, and pretend to be rocks. At the time, I thought it was an absolute stupid idea, but this was all we had. So we just did just that, pretended to be rocks. And the Ford drove past us, no slowing down at all, which meant this stupid plan actually worked. After he drove past, we continued booking it. We were at the end of the cemetery when we saw him driving away again. This time, there was a bin to hide behind, which we did. He drove past us again, and we continued booking it. We got to my house and locked the door behind us to ensure some kind of safety. We explained to my mom what happened. After the day, she made some new rules. No more playing Pokemon Go at night. Thank you. Scout's honor on the mom right there. And my little sister was not allowed to go out by herself to play it. She wasn't happy about that, but at least we are still here to tell the story. That is a good way to tell the story. Wow. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to give it up for that. Is that scary to live in? Someone just chasing you down in the middle of the night is just not. Oh man, it's just not comforting to be with. It's like it was already bad enough to go into the freaking nighttime just to play Pokemon Go. Like, come on, you could just download like freaking GPS hack or something like that and just get Pokemon in your house. It's just without even moving. It's still scary enough to believe. That's why I wouldn't want to go outside in the middle of the night because I don't know what's out there. Like, you kidding me? But I live in a very like nice neighborhood or whatever. But that's not an excuse for me just to leave in the middle of the night thinking that someone's gonna come after me in the middle of. I just don't want that to happen to me. Alright, so that's the end of the spooky stories. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully I kept you on your toes with these types of stories, and it was quite interesting stories that I've heard before. So thank you all for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, do all that good stuff, you guys. Have a great Halloween, everybody. Reese's Pieces.